The last breath in the snow. The frozen wasteland was silent. No bird in the sky, no animal on the ground, no sound except the cruel wind cutting across the endless white field. Snow moved like ghosts in the air, dancing around two massive shapes half buried in ice. They were dragons. Both of them were chained to the ground with thick metal, the kind no living creature should ever wear. Their wings were tied, their bodies locked, their claws frozen under frost. They had been here for days, maybe weeks. Even had lost count. The first dragon, the bigger one, breathed slowly. Every breath came out as a weak cloud of steam. His bright red scales were cracked from the cold. Once he had been powerful, feared, and proud. Now he could barely lift his head. The second dragon, smaller but younger, lay beside him. Her deep blue scales shimmered under the snow like a dying ember. Her eyes were half open, tired, but still filled with a soft glow of life. Both were at the edge of death. The storm pushed more snow on top of them, trying to hide them under the white blanket forever. The younger dragon whispered weakly, "Brother, I cannot feel my wings." The older dragon tried to speak, but his voice cracked like frozen wood. "Do not sleep. If you sleep, you will not wake again." She tried to keep her eyes open, but every second felt heavier. The cold had eaten their strength, and the chains offered no mercy. For a long moment, there was nothing, only the sound of the wind. Then something changed. Through the thick snowstorm, the older dragon noticed a dark shape far away, a small dot against the endless white. At first, he thought it was just his mind breaking under the cold. He blinked, trying to clear his vision. The shape moved. He froze. "Sister, look." The younger dragon lifted her head slowly. Her eyes widened a little. The shape was real. It was walking toward them, step by step, slow but steady. "Another hunter?" she whispered. Fear trembled in her voice. "Are they back?" The older dragon let out a low growl, but it was weak. Hunters do not walk in storms. They come with loud machines. Fire. Noise. This shape made no sound. No engine. No lights. No weapons flashing. Just footsteps. The dragons watched it with confused eyes. The figure looked small. Too small to be a monster. Too slow to be a war machine. Too calm to be afraid of dragons. The snow swirled around the figure, but it kept coming. Closer. 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 The younger dragon tried to lift her head higher. What is it?" But when the figure finally stepped into a clear patch of snow, the dragon's hearts almost stopped. It was a human, a single human, alone in this dead land. The older dragon could not understand. Humans fear dragons. Humans ran from dragons. Humans never walked toward dragons, especially chained, dying ones. But this human came closer without fear, without hurry, without shaking. He was wrapped in a thick coat, his hood pulled tight against the storm. Snow clung to his shoulders, but he did not seem to care. His boots sank deep into the icy ground with every step. The human stopped just a few feet from the dragons. He looked at their giant bodies, their wounds, their chains, the cold around them. His eyes moved slowly, studying everything, like he was trying to understand their pain. The dragons waited for a weapon, a threat, a cruel smile. But the human just whispered, almost too soft to hear. "Who did this to you?" The younger dragon stared at him. "He speaks to us," she whispered. "Brother, he speaks." The older dragon tried to lift himself, but the chains cut into his skin. He let out a low growl, not a threat, just frustration and pain. The human did not step back. Instead, he walked closer and touched the metal chain. His fingers turned red from the cold instantly, but he didn't pull away. He examined the locks carefully, then sighed. "These chains are military grade," he said quietly to himself. "Not natural. Someone wanted you to suffer." The dragons exchanged confused glances. Why did he care? Why was he here? The younger dragon finally asked, Are you a hunter?" The human looked up at her, straight in her tired, glowing eyes, and shook his head. "No, I'm not a hunter." "Then why come?" the older dragon growled. The human placed a hand gently on the older dragon's cracked scales. It burned him, but he didn't move his hand away. I saw smoke. I saw movement. I thought someone needed help. The younger dragon stared. Help? You help dragons. The human gave a small smile. I help anyone who is dying. A long silence fell. The snowstorm howled, but none of them moved. Then the human took a deep breath and said the one thing neither dragon expected. I will try to free you, but please try not to kill me if I succeed. The older dragon blinked. The younger dragon blinked. Did this small, fragile human really think they were dangerous? They could barely breathe. Yet here he was, alone, freezing, facing two dying dragons without fear. As the human knelt beside the chains and pulled out a strange tool from his bag, the younger dragon whispered softly, "Brother, is this real?" The older dragon lowered his head. "I do not know," he said, "but for the first time the cold feels a little less." And in that frozen wasteland, for the first time in days, there was a spark of hope. A human with no fear. Snow crashed against the human's back as he knelt beside the dragons. The storm felt alive, like it wanted to push him away from them. But he didn't move. His fingers were already turning red from the cold, yet he kept working on the chains. The older dragon watched him with sharp eyes. "Human," he growled softly, "you do not fear us?" The human didn't look up. "Not right now." "Why?" the dragon asked. "We are dragons. Your kind fears our fire." Still working, still calm, the human answered, "You don't have fire right now." The younger dragon let out a weak laugh, surprised by the simple truth. Even dying, she felt something strange, almost amusement. It was the first warm feeling she had felt in days. But then a sharp sound echoed through the iced ground. Clang! The human pulled back, breathing hard. These chains are not normal. They're designed to survive dragon fire. Electricity, magic, everything. The older dragon's eyes narrowed. Then you cannot break them. The human blew warm breath on his frozen hands. "Yes," he said, "but I'm still trying." He stood up and walked around them, checking the metal, studying every inch. The dragons watched quietly. The human moved differently, slow, steady, almost too calm for someone surrounded by giant beasts. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small device. It looked like a scanner, old, battered, scratched by time and storms. When he pressed the button, blue light swept across the chains. The screen flashed red. He frowned. "They used a new tech. This is bad." The younger dragon whispered, "Bad for whom?" "For you," he said. Then after a moment, "For me too, I guess." The older dragon narrowed his eyes. "Why?" The human hesitated, just for a second. Then he answered with words heavier than the storm. "Because the people who chained you are probably coming back." A cold silence fell, colder than the snow around them. "Hunters," the younger dragon whispered. Her voice shook with fear. "No," the human said quietly. "Hunters would kill you quickly. Whoever chained you wants something worse." The dragons felt chills crawl through their bones. Worse than death. What could humans want? The human continued. "They don't want dragons dead. They want dragons controlled." The older dragon lowered his head. "We will not be controlled." The human smiled sadly. "I figured." He placed a hand on the metal again. "These chains, they are not here to trap you. They are here to break you." The younger dragon closed her eyes. The truth hurt. It explained the pain, the weakness, the cold stronger than normal storms. Suddenly, the human tightened his jaw. He stepped back and looked at both dragons with a determined expression. "Listen," he said, "I might not be able to break these chains yet, but I can keep you alive until I find a way." The older dragon scoffed. "You? A single human? How?" The human opened his bag again. He pulled out a small metal rod. A tiny light blinked at the top. "This is a heat spike," he explained. "I can use it to warm your cores. Slow down the freezing. By time." The younger dragon looked confused. "It will work." "It has to," he said. He pressed the spike into the snow beside her. Heat rippled through the ice, melting it slowly. The dragon gasped softly as warmth touched her skin for the first time in days. The older dragon watched with wide eyes. "You carry something like that? Why?" The human shrugged. "Because I travel alone. Because storms like this kill people too. Because I don't like dying." The younger dragon smiled weakly. "You are strange." He laughed nervously. "Yeah, I get that a lot. But before he could place the second heat spike near the older dragon, a deep rumble rolled across the frozen ground. The human froze. The dragons tensed. A second rumble. Louder. Closer. Not thunder. Not wind. Not nature. Engines. The human's face hardened instantly. They found us. The dragon's eyes widened with terror. No, not again. The human quickly shut off the heat spike lights, grabbed his bag, and crouched behind the dragon's bodies to look at the distant horizon. Bright white lights cut through the storm. The younger dragon trembled. Human, run. They will kill you. He shook his head. No, you must run, the older dragon growled. We cannot protect you. The human slowly stood up. Snow whipped around him, but he faced the glowing lights without fear. You don't need to protect me, he said. Then he reached into his coat and pulled out a small black object. A device. A circular one. The older dragon's eyes widened. Human, what is that? The human pressed a button. A sudden blue dome of energy flashed into existence around him and the dragons, bright and humming. A shield. A powerful one. The younger dragon gasped. Human, why? He looked at them with steady eyes and said, no one deserves to die chained. Not even dragons. The rumbling engines grew louder. The lights got brighter. Shadows of armored men and machines appeared in the storm. The humans stepped forward, standing between the dragons and the coming danger. Alone, unarmed, but not afraid. The older dragon whispered to his sister, this human is madness. The younger dragon whispered back, maybe, but he is our madness. And the storm roared as the enemies arrived. The chains that should not break. The blue energy shield around the dragons trembled in the storm, glowing like a fragile bubble in the middle of the icy wasteland. The human stood at the front, coat flapping wildly, eyes fixed on the fast-approaching shadows. The engines grew louder. Bright lights cut through the snow. Dark shapes moved closer. Machines meant something worse. The younger dragon whispered, human, you cannot fight them. They have weapons that tear mountains. The human did not look back. He simply said, then let them try. The older dragon stared at him, confused. Why was this small creature so calm? Why did he stand like he owned the storm? The first armored vehicle appeared, tall, metal, covered in thick plates, its wheels crushing frozen ground beneath it. A symbol glowed on its side, a burning chain. The younger dragon gasped, brother, it is the Chain Guild. The older dragon growled, anger and fear mixing. They returned to finish us. The human's jaw tightened. Chain Guild. I should have guessed. Another vehicle arrived. Then another. Then soldiers wearing heavy suits stepped out. Their visors glowed red in the snowstorm. One soldier lifted a loudspeaker. Unknown human. Stand down and move away from the dragons. The human didn't move. Failure to comply will result in termination. The younger dragon whispered, voice cracking, human, please do not die for us. He lowered his voice. I'm not planning to die. But his hands were shaking. The dragons noticed it. Not fear, something heavier. One soldier stepped forward with a long weapon, a charged spear glowing with electricity. Snow hissed around it. But before they approached, a deep voice came from the largest vehicle. The door opened. A man stepped out, tall, wearing black armor. His mask was made of cold steel and shaped like a dragon skull. Snow fell on him, but instantly melted from the heat of his armor. The dragons trembled. The older dragon whispered, he is the warden. The younger dragon's eyes widened in panic. Not him, never him. The warden walked slowly toward the shield. The snowstorm seemed to avoid him, wind bending around his presence. He stopped just inches from the shield and looked at the human like one would look at a strange insect. Human, you interfere with matters beyond your rank. The human met his gaze. These dragons are dying. That is the intention, the warden replied calmly. Weak dragons must not exist. The younger dragon cried out in pain and fear. The older dragon tried to rise, but collapsed as the chains tightened around him automatically, reacting to his movement. The human stepped forward. What did you do to them? The warden tapped the side of his helmet. We removed their spirit, their fire, their will. The human clenched his fists. You call this removal? He shouted. This is torture. The warden tilted his head. Torture is a human word. We call it training. The shield flickered. A crack appeared. The human noticed it and held the device tighter. One soldier pointed his weapon at the human. Sir, should we neutralize the interference? The warden raised a hand. No, not yet. I want to see why a human defends dragons. He stepped closer to the shield. Tell me, stranger, what are you? The human raised his chin. Someone who doesn't walk away from dying creatures. The warden laughed softly, a metallic, cold sound. A hero? In this age. The human didn't answer. The warden touched the shield with one finger. Electricity danced across it. This device, he said, is old tech. Human tech. Something not built for dragons. It will break. The human looked him in the eye. Maybe. But until it does, you're not touching them. The warden's visor glowed brighter. Very well. He snapped his fingers. Bam! A soldier fired. The blast hit the shield and shook the entire dome. The dragons flinched. The younger dragon cried out. Human, the shield cannot hold. He didn't look back. I know. Another blast hit. Cracks spread across the blue dome like spiderwebs. The younger dragon whispered to her brother, He will die for us. The older dragon lowered his head. No, he will die because of us. The human pressed his hand against the cracking dome, trying to keep it together. His fingers bled. His breath grew fast, but he didn't move away. The warden watched patiently, like he was enjoying the scene. Then suddenly, the shield shattered. Blue sparks exploded into the snow. The dragon screamed. The human staggered back, falling to one knee. The soldiers aimed their weapons at him instantly. Final warning. The loudspeaker boomed. Surrender or be eliminated. The younger dragon cried, Run, human, please. He wiped blood from his mouth and stood up slowly. I'm not leaving. The older dragon snarled weakly. You cannot fight them. The human reached into his coat and pulled out a glowing object. Small, round, deep red light pulsed in it like a heartbeat. The warden's eyes widened behind his helmet. A core shard. The human held it tighter. Yeah, and if you don't stop, I'll use it. The dragons froze. Even they knew what a core shard was. A piece of ancient dragon magic. Something that should not be in human hands. The warden's voice lowered. Where did you get that, human? The human breathed hard, eyes sharp. That's none of your business. The warden took a single step back, the first sign of fear or respect he had shown. But the soldiers didn't hesitate. They fired again. Boom! The explosion threw the human backward, snow flying everywhere. He rolled, coughing, but still held the glowing core shard tightly. The dragons roared weakly. The younger dragon cried, Human, get up, please. The older dragon whispered, If he falls, we fall with him. The human forced himself to stand again, legs shaking, eyes burning with stubborn fire. He looked at the dragons. Don't give up. Then he looked at the warden. You think chains make you strong? Let me show you what freedom does. And he lifted the core shard. It pulsed brighter, hotter, stronger. The warden shouted, Stop him. The soldiers rushed forward, and the snow exploded with blinding light. The enemy in the snow. The white explosion from the core shard lit the sky like a second sun. Snow blasted upward in a violent spiral, spinning like a tornado of burning light. The soldiers covered their visors. The engines of the vehicles shook. Even the warden stepped back, raising an arm to shield himself. And in the center of that storm, the humans stood unmoving. The dragons blinked through the blinding glow. When the light settled, they gasped. The human was surrounded by a thin, shimmering aura, red, gold, and blue mixed together. The core shard floated above his hand, turning slowly, pulsing like a living heart. The younger dragon whispered, Brother, that is dragon magic. The older dragon stared harder. No human should survive holding that. But the human did. His eyes glowed faintly. Steam rose from his coat. His breath was slow and steady, almost too calm for someone so close to death. The warden recovered and stepped forward again. His voice was lower, colder. Human, you do not understand what you carry. The human lifted the shard slightly. Try me. The warden stopped. He could feel the power rippling from it. Old power, forbidden power. That shard belonged to the First Flame clan. Their magic can break mountains, destroy machines, burn the sky. The human pointed at the frozen dragons. That it can break these chains. The warden laughed. You think you can control it? The human didn't answer. Instead, he turned toward the dragons and stepped closer, but his steps were slow, heavy, like the shard weighed more than his own body. The older dragon narrowed his eyes. Human, stop. That power will kill you. I know, the human whispered, but I need to try. Before he reached them, the warden snapped his fingers. Boom! The ground shook. A massive mechanical beast rose behind the soldiers. A metal creature with legs like a spider and a glowing cannon on its back. The younger dragon gasped. It's a chain reaver. The older dragon's eyes widened. Those things drain magic, even dragon magic. The reaver aimed at the human. A low hum filled the frozen air. The human's eyes widened. Oh no! Zap! A beam of blue energy shot toward him. The human jumped aside, rolling in the snow. The attack just missed him, but hit the ground behind him, turning the ice in a boiling mist. The human coughed violently, throat burning. That wasn't friendly. The soldiers marched forward. The shield was gone now. Nothing protected the dragons except the human and that unstable shard. The warden lifted his voice. Last chance, human. Step away from the dragons. The human stood again, shaking but determined. No! The reaver aimed at him again. But before it fired, the older dragon suddenly coughed. A small spark of fire escaping his mouth. Just a spark, but enough. It hit the ground with a tiny pop. The warden's helmet turned sharply. Impossible. Their fire is gone. The younger dragon whispered to her brother, Your fire returned? The older dragon looked shocked. It cannot be. I am too weak. The human stared at the shard in his hand, then at the dragons. He understood. You too. You're connected to this shard somehow. The warden growled. The shard holds a piece of their ancestors. It responds to dragon blood. The human nodded. Then maybe it can help you. He turned toward the dragons and raised the shard. The warden screamed, Stop him! But it was too late. The shard burst with golden light that shot like a line of fire toward the chains. The metal cracked. Steam hissed. One link popped. A tiny one, but it broke. The dragons gasped, the first real sound of hope they'd made in days. The soldiers panicked. He's breaking the restraints. Shoot him. Destroy the shard. The reaver fired again. This time the beam hit the human directly. Zap boom. The blast threw him across the snow like a rag doll. He crashed hard, rolling until he lay completely still. The younger dragon screamed, Human. The older dragon roared, struggling wildly against his chains. The ground shook under him, but the metal didn't break. The warden gestured to his soldiers. Move in. Kill the human. Reset the chains. The soldiers advanced, but something was wrong. The human moved. Slowly, painfully, but he pushed himself up on one knee. Snow fell from his shoulders. His head hung low. His breathing was ragged. His hands were shaking violently. Then, he stood. Barely, but he stood. The shard flickered weakly, but it didn't die. The younger dragon whispered, tears in her eyes, Why does he not stop? The human gave a broken laugh. Because someone has to fight you. The reaver aimed again, but suddenly, crack! The ice behind the human split open. Snow shifted. Something massive moved under it. The warden turned sharply. What is that? A deep rumble vibrated the ground. The older dragon's eyes widened. Brother, something ancient is under us. The snow split wider. The humans stumbled back. The soldiers raised their weapons. A long, dark shape rose slowly from beneath the ground, pushing snow aside like a whale rising from the sea. The warden stepped back. No, it cannot be. The younger dragon whispered, voice trembling. That is a burial WIRM. The human blinked. A what? The older dragon's voice shook. A dragon that sleeps for centuries and wakes only when it senses a dying spirit. The burial WIRM fully surfaced. Its massive head turned, ancient eyes glowing with dim fire. It looked at the two chain dragons. Then it looked at the human holding the shard. A long silence. Then the WYRM spoke, its voice deeper than mountains. Who awakens the blood of the first flame? The human swallowed. Me? The WYRM leaned closer. You are not a dragon, yet you carry our fire. The warden shouted, kill it, now. But soldiers didn't move. They couldn't. They were frozen in fear. The WYRM turned toward the warden. You chain my children. Now face their protector. And the snow trembled under its roar. The human who wouldn't break. The burial WRM's roar rolled across the frozen land like thunder from an ancient world. Snow shot upward in tall waves. Soldiers stumbled back, terrified. Even the warden's armored boots slid in the ice. The WYRM lowered its colossal head. Its golden eyes burned with an old fire, slow, heavy, and unstoppable. The younger dragon whispered, trembling, it answered our pain. The older dragon's voice was rough. WYRMs do not rise for nothing. It senses a breaking fate. And in front of this titan, the human stood, small, freezing, shaking, but still holding the glowing core shard in one hand. The WRM's deep voice echoed like rolling stones. You, human, why does dragon fire cling to your spirit? The human swallowed. Because I won't let them die. The WYRM blinked slowly. The warden stepped forward again, trying to regain control. Creatures of flame, he shouted, this human means nothing. He has no right to stand between us and our mission. The WYRM turned its huge head toward the warden. You speak of missions. I speak of life. Then the WRM's eyes narrowed. You chain children. You weaken them. You poison their flame. The warden's armor hummed. Stand down, or the guild will erase your entire breed. The WRM's scales rippled as it let out a quiet, deadly laugh. Child, your weapons cannot erase time. The warden raised his hand. Reaver, fire. The chain Reaver charged its cannon again, the core burning bright blue. The WYRM tensed to strike. The younger dragon screamed, human, move. But the human didn't move. He lifted the shard. The warden realized too late. Stop him. Stop the human. The Reaver fired. Zayat boom. But the beam didn't hit the human or the WYRM. The older dragon, with the last strength in his dying body, threw himself in front of the blast. The beam hit his chest, tossing him back violently. The younger dragon shouted in terror. Brother, the human fell to his knees. No! The older dragon lay still for a moment, smoke rising from his injured scales. Then he forced his head up, barely, and he growled two painful words. Not enough. The WRM roared, shaking the earth, the sky, everything. Snow burst upward. Ice cracked in long lines across the field. The soldiers panicked. Fall back. Regroup. The WYRM is unstable. But the warden did not move. His visor glowed bright red. Reaver. Drain. The WYRM. Full power. The Reaver aimed at the ancient creature. But the human suddenly stood again, swaying, barely breathing. His voice was weak but full of fire. You want the WYRM? You'll have to get through me. The warden laughed sharply. Human, you can barely stand. The human tightened his grip on the shard. His knuckles were white. His hand shook violently. Blood dripped onto the snow. I don't need to stand, he whispered. I just need to hold on. The shard began glowing brighter than before, reacting to the human's pain, his stubbornness, his will. Red, gold, and white light swirled around him. The WYRM lowered its head slightly. You carry the fire like a dragon. The human smiled weakly. Good, because I really need it right now. Then something changed. The dragons felt it first. A heat, small but growing, under their skin. A memory awakening inside them. The younger dragon gasped. The chains, they are weakening. Metal hissed. Steam rose. A faint crack spread along the ancient lock. The older dragon whispered, voice shaking. Human, what are you doing? The human groaned, holding the shard tighter. I'm giving you back your fire. The shard shone wildly. The warden shouted, stop him now. The soldiers rushed forward. The Reaver fired again. Boom! Snow exploded everywhere, but something impossible happened. The WYRM moved faster than anything that size should. It slammed its tail into the ground, smashing a wall of ice upward. The energy beam hit the ice first, shattering it but losing much of its force. The human was still thrown back but not killed. The WYRM roared again. The ground shook. The buried dragon spirits under the earth felt it. Thousands of them, memories of a world older than the guild. The warden's voice cracked. This is becoming unacceptable. He reached to his arm and pressed a hidden switch. His armor changed. Metal unfolded. Plates shifted. Energy lines glowed brighter. He grew taller, stronger, darker. The younger dragon's eyes widened. That armor, that is Dragon Slayer grade. The older dragon snarled. He prepared for us. The warden stepped forward, his voice deeper now. You think you fight for justice, but humans cannot understand dragons. You cannot protect what you cannot control. The human coughed blood, but stood again. You're right, he said softly. I don't control them. I respect them. The warden's visor flared. Then you die with them. He raised his armored arm. A blade of pure energy formed, humming with deadly heat. The human braced himself, legs shaking, but before the warden struck, crack! The younger dragon's chain snapped. A loud, breaking sound echoed like thunder. Her eyes exploded with blue fire. Touch him, she growled, and I burn you. The warden froze for a split second. Then he smirked beneath his mask. Finally, progress. The dragons were confused. Why did he sound pleased? But the human understood. He whispered, he wants your fire to complete his weapon. Before he could finish, the warden struck. The younger dragon lunged. The WYRM roared. The human raised the shard, and the entire battlefield erupted in light, fire, ice, metal, and magic. The fire that returned. The battlefield became a storm of fire, metal, and ice. The younger dragon, now half free, lunged at the warden with a roar that shook the sky. Blue fire burst from her mouth. Not strong, not full power, but alive again. The flames slammed into the ground near the warden, melting snow and turning ice into boiling steam. The warden spun, his Dragon Slayer armor glowing red, and blocked the flames with a shimmering energy shield. Good, he hissed. Your fire is returning. Exactly what I need. The younger dragon narrowed her eyes. You will not take anything from us. She slashed at him with her claws, but the remaining chain yanked her back violently. The metal tightened around her wing, dragging her into the snow. She screamed in pain. And oh, the human shouted. He ran toward her, but the warden moved faster. In one smooth motion, he struck the ground near her with his energy blade. The impact sent a shock wave through the ice. The human was thrown backward again. He rolled, coughing blood, but forced himself up. The older dragon roared weakly, still trapped. Sister. The WYRM slammed its massive tail on the ground, trying to crush the warden, but the armored man slid to the side with unnatural speed, the armor boosting his every movement. The human stared at the warden, chest heaving. That armor, it's reacting to the dragons, isn't it? The warden smirked behind his mask. Correct. It absorbs dragon fire. Every spark, every breath, every heartbeat of magic. The younger dragon froze. You chained us to drain us? Yes, the warden said calmly. To complete the armor's core. The human clenched his teeth. You're a monster. No, the warden replied. I am progress. He marched toward the younger dragon again. The human's voice cracked as he shouted, Stay away from her. But his legs gave out from under him. He collapsed to one knee, the shard flickering weakly in his hand. The warden raised his energy blade. The younger dragon struggled against her final chain, fire in her eyes. You will not touch him. The warden tilted his head. I do not plan to kill him yet. His shard is more valuable than his life. He pointed his blade at the human. The younger dragon roared in desperation. The older dragon's heart pounded fiercely, and the shard in the human's hand pulsed, like a heartbeat answering theirs. The human raised it again, shaking violently. Come on, come on. It glowed brighter. The older dragon whispered, Human, stop. Your body cannot hold that power. The human's vision blurred, but he didn't lower his hand. I don't need to hold it, he whispered. I just need to guide it. The warden lunged toward him. The shard exploded with golden flame. Thum! A blast of ancient fire shot out. Not at the warden, not at the dragons, but directly at the younger dragon's final chain. It shattered. The metal burst into molten shards that hit the snow, sizzling. The younger dragon gasped, her body free for the first time in days. Her wings spread wide, flames bursting across her teeth, her scales igniting like blue lightning under the snow. The warden's helmet flashed with warning lights. This was not intended. The younger dragon roared with full power for the first time since she was captured. The air vibrated. The snow lifted. The sky cracked with blue fire. She lunged at the warden. Her claws smashed into his energy blade, breaking its rhythm. Her fire slammed into his armor, making the metal glow dangerously hot. The soldiers panicked and fired useless shots at her. The Reaver aimed again, but the WYRM surged forward and crushed the machine under its massive body, ripping metal apart like paper. The battlefield was chaos. Through the chaos, the older dragon whispered weakly, "Sister, finish it." The younger dragon struck again, her tail whipping the warden off his feet. He crashed into the snow, armor sparking. He quickly recovered, but now he moved slower. Her fire had damaged his suit. "You stupid beasts," he growled. He pointed his gauntlet at her. A burst of red energy shot out. She dodged, but the blast skimmed her wing, slicing off a few scales. She roared in pain. The human tried to stand again. "I have to help her." But the shard dimmed. His body collapsed into the snow. The older dragon saw him falling and roared. "And no, human." The WYRM swung its tail again, smashing the ground and forcing the warden back. The younger dragon turned her head, eyes wide with fear. "Human." He didn't respond. Blood stained the white snow around him. The shard flickered weakly beside his hand. The younger dragon charged toward him, ignoring the warden for 1 second. And that 1 second cost her. The warden moved like lightning, his armor surging with stolen power. He appeared behind her and drove his gauntlet into her side. A burst of red electricity exploded. She screamed and fell to the snow, her wings twitching. The warden stood over her. Her fire dimmed. Her breath weakened. The warden lifted his blade for the killing strike. The older dragon roared so loud it cracked ice for miles. The WYRM rushed forward, and the human, half-conscious, reached out a shaking hand and touched the shard again. He whispered, bleeding, exhausted, "Please, not her, not them." The shard pulsed once, then again, then. A shock wave ripped across the field. The warden froze. Everyone froze, because the shard was no longer glowing weakly. It was glowing like a rising sun. The human's body lifted slightly from the snow, and a deep, ancient voice whispered through the wind, "Guardian, chosen by fire, rise." The pact of ice and fire. The glowing shard rose into the air like a burning heart. The human's body lifted with it, his feet just above the snow. His hair floated in the wind. His weak breath became steady, stronger, almost inhumanly calm. The ancient voice echoed across the frozen wasteland. "Guardian, the fire remembers you." The warden staggered back, his visor flashing warnings. This cannot be happening. A human cannot bond with a dragon shard. But the human opened his eyes, and they burned with golden flame. The younger dragon stared in awe. "Human, what are you becoming?" The older dragon whispered, trembling. "He is not becoming something. The shard is awakening what was always inside him." The warden snarled and charged forward, blade raised. Enough! But the snowstorm suddenly twisted toward the human, swirling like a powerful vortex. His entire body pulsed with fiery aura, red, blue, gold, all merging together. The shard flashed once. Boom! A shock wave burst out, throwing the warden backward like a toy. He crashed into a broken Reaver machine, metal bending around him. The human landed softly on his feet. The shard floated above his hand like a loyal flame. But his voice was calm, too calm. You chained them, he said quietly. You hunted them. You hurt them. The warden rose again, furious. They are weapons. The human stepped forward, the snow melting beneath his boots. They're living beings. They feel. They think. And you broke them. The younger dragon struggled to rise. Human, you must not fight him alone. The human looked back at her and smiled faintly. I'm not alone. The older dragon, still chained, tried again to pull free. His muscles shook. His breath came weak. He roared with all the strength left in him. I will not watch you fall. The WYRM thundered closer, its massive form towering over the battlefield. Child of fire, burn the darkness. But the warden wasn't finished. His armor glowed bright red, overheating but still alive. He slammed his fist into the ground. Energy lines shot out in all directions, carving runes into the snow. The younger dragon gasped. He's activating the binding seal. The older dragon's eyes widened. No, that seal drains life. The runes lit up. The dragons roared in pain as their fire dimmed again. Even the WYRM struggled. The warden forced himself to stand, electricity running over his armor. He pointed his blade at the human. You cannot protect them. The seal will drain the fire from every dragon here, including the shard in your hand. The human looked at the glowing lines and clenched his jaw. You're sacrificing the entire land just to win. Winning is survival, the warden hissed. Snow exploded as he charged again. His blade slashed down. The human lifted the shard. The two forces collided. Crash. Fire and energy blasted outward. The ground cracked. The sky flickered. The dragons screamed as the seal pulled at their life force. The warden pushed harder, shouting, You cannot defeat me. I am using dragon fire. But the human's voice was steady. And that is why you fail. He thrust the shard forward. A beam of pure dragon flame shot out, mixed with the human's own spirit. A flame that wasn't dragon, wasn't human, was something greater. The warden screamed as the fire hit his armor. Cracks spread. Panels broke. Energy leaked out. Impossible, he roared. Humans have no fire. The human stepped closer. We do now. Another burst of fire shot forward. The warden's armor shattered completely. He flew backward, crashing into the snow, armor smoking. His helmet rolled away, revealing a scarred, pale face twisted with rage. The binding seal flickered, weakened, then broke. The dragons gasped as new strength rushed into them. The younger dragon stood again, fire bursting from her mouth in a bright blue stream. The older dragon's chains cracked from the heat he regained. The WYRM lifted its gigantic head, flames spiraling around its ancient horns. The warden tried to rise, but the younger dragon slammed her claws down, pinning him to the ice. You hurt us, she growled. You broke us. But you forgot one thing. Her fire lit around her jaws. We heal. The older dragon finally broke his last chain, roaring in victory. His flames burst into the sky like a signal of rebirth. The WYRM reared back. Let the guilty be judged by fire. But the human lifted a hand. Stop. The dragons froze. Even the warden stared in disbelief. The human walked closer, breathing heavily but still glowing faintly from the shard's power. He is defeated, the human said quietly. Killing him won't change the past. The younger dragon looked confused. But he hurt you. He nearly killed us. He will hunt again. The human held up the shard. Not without this. As if obeying his words, the shard floated above the warden and pulled the remaining dragon fire out of his armor. He screamed as the last stolen flames left him. When it was over, he lay still, powerless. Just another human in the snow. He's done, the human said softly. The younger dragon's fire dimmed. She stepped back slowly. You choose mercy? I choose a future, he replied. One with you in it. Her eyes softened. The WYRM nodded slowly. Wisdom in such a small creature. The older dragon lowered himself, injured but alive. You saved us, human. Not with fire, with heart. The human swayed, suddenly looking exhausted. The shard dimmed and gently floated back into his hand. The younger dragon rushed forward, catching him before he fell. He leaned against her warm scales, breathing shakily. "Hey, thanks. You protected us," she whispered. "Now we protect you." The older dragon lowered his massive head. "This cold land tried to take our lives. You gave him back." The WYRM rumbled proudly. "The bond is made. The pact is sealed. Human, you are now kin to dragons." The human smiled weakly. "Can King get a ride somewhere warm?" The dragons laughed, a deep, echoing joy. The younger dragon lifted him gently onto her back. "Hold on. Dragons do not fly slow." The older dragon spread his wings. "We fly as one." The WYRM sank back into the snow, returning to its ancient slumber. And the two dragons soared into the sky, carrying the human who saved them, and earned a place in their fire forever. Above the frozen wasteland, flames danced behind their wings as they flew into the dawn. And thus began the legend of the human who freed dragons, and whom dragons vowed to protect.